Spoke yesterday to the Immigration Minister, Alex Hawke, and I put to him, well, let's try to kill two birds with one stone here as we go into 2021. You've got all these British and Irish backpackers around Bronte with the Santa hats on. A lot of people in the government say, well, let's get rid of them, send them back to Blackpool. Well, you know, as well as I know, we spoke about this earlier in the week, there's a chronic shortage of backpackers, not in Bronte, but in the bush, ready to go and pick the harvest that is waiting to be picked. Why don't we give these people a second chance and say, now listen, we'll let you stay, we will kick you back if you don't agree, but we'll let you stay if you go bush for the next 3 months and pick fruit where we send you. Why don't we do that?
Well, you've taken the words right out of my mouth. And in fact, the conversation I had with Alex Hawke was right along those lines, is before you kick them out, make them reclassify their status in staying in this country and go and doing another 88 days. Wipe their slate clean, because if they do their 88 days in agriculture, they can stay.
Yeah.
So what you need to say is if they've broken the law, you've got to go back and do another 88 days in ag. Otherwise, you can get on the next flight. And I think that's just a practical, common sense solution to those that might want to flout the law, particularly as we go to New Year's. And I think that's just common sense. And that's all we want. And I know Alex is looking into that, and hopefully everyone will do the right thing tonight. But let's just be honest, this is an opportunity for us to say to those, you can stay, but go and do another 88 days in agriculture, help a few farmers out, make a quid, and you can stay.
Yeah, fair enough. He seemed receptive to it yesterday, so my fingers are crossed as well.
My name is Rose Lipschitz, and I was born in Lublin, Poland in 1929. We were ordered to congregate in a small town by the name of Belzica. We slept there only one night. I remember all the 5 of us, my mother, my father, my older brother, my younger brother. The next morning came a knock on the door, and they made us go out on a big marketplace. They divided us, all men and women without children, to one side, and women and children to the other side. My father was taken away to Majdanek, on trucks actually. And as they started walking us to a train station, and everybody was walking and carrying their goods, my mother was holding back until we were almost at the end. There were about 3,000 people walking that highway that day. She grabbed the few belongings that I had in my hand and threw it aside. She threw away what she had. She looked at me. I was 13 years old. She looked me straight in the face and said, I want you to understand they're taking us to our death. I don't believe the whole world has gone mad. There's going to be somebody somewhere that's going to help you, and you have to run. Well, being 13 and very scared, I hold on to my mother's skirt very tightly. But she pushed me off the road, forcibly pushed me off the road. She says, that's the only chance I have of survival. If you'll survive, so will I through you. And the last guard came over to me and asked me if I'm Jewish. I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and there were a few houses up on top. He thought maybe a child came down to look what's happening. I was 13, but looked actually much younger. So when he walked over to me and asked me if I'm Jewish, I was so petrified that I kept my mouth shut. But I heard somebody yelling, I don't know who it was, don't you see she's a Polish girl? And he was the last guard. I don't much remember that day. When I walked into the train station, the fear was terrific. And the fear in my eyes was giving me away. And then I noticed there was standing an older lady. Her name was Antosha. She used to be a friend of my grandmother when they were children. I knew her, she knew me. She recognized me and grabbed me by the shoulder, pushed me against the window, and said, "Be quiet, my child." be quiet. And that's the way I drove into Lublin, met up with my aunt, and volunteered to go to Germany as a Polish laborer. The rest is history. I lived through with Polish people for the next 3 years until the liberation in 1945 by the English.